Welcome in, everybody, to this deep dive. And today we're going to be looking into the world of Alicia Keys.
Ooh, exciting.
Yeah, so obviously, a lot of people know her as this crazy talented 16-time Grammy award-winning musician.
Right.
But we're not really going to be talking about her music today.
Okay.
We're going to be looking at her personal journey, especially with things like anxiety and how she's kind of found inner peace and developed this whole philosophy of what she calls soul care.
Interesting.
Yeah, so we've got a really great interview with her that we're going to be diving into, and she gets really candid about her struggles and some of her triumphs in life.
I'm really interested to hear, I think what's so interesting about this deep dive is that she's taking her personal experiences and applying it to these universal challenges that, so many of us face.
Right.
And I think that's going to be really valuable to glean some insights from, especially, someone who's navigated such immense pressures of fame and, these really demanding careers.
Yeah, for sure.
It's going to be great to see what we can learn from her.
Yeah, and it's really inspiring to see that she's used all those experiences to develop this whole concept of soul care.
Yeah.
But before we get into that, I kind of want to rewind back to her early years because she really candidly discusses some anxieties that she had even as a kid that I'll admit I really related to.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
What were some of those?
Well, she talked about being afraid of being hurt by people she loved. And she had some financial insecurity, anxieties around that.
Right.
And, that deep-seated fear of rejection.
Yeah.
And I feel like those are really relatable no matter what your background is.
For sure. Yeah. And it's something that, a lot of us experience those feelings no matter what walk of life we come from.
And it's interesting because she even kind of had this realization that a lot of these doubts and fears are actually kind of inherited.
Oh, wow.
It's almost like it's a legacy passed down from generation to generation.
Oh, that's so interesting. Have you ever noticed that in your own life?
Oh, yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she even talks about how, she would catch herself repeating phrases that her mother used to say.
Wow.
And she realized that she was, perpetuating this cycle of negativity.
It makes you really think about the impact of our words, not just on ourselves, but on those around us as well.
Totally. And then so from there, she started to consciously replace that negative self-talk with affirmations, which I thought was really interesting.
I love that. Yeah.
Yeah, because, I'll be honest, I used to think that affirmations were just kind of these vague, feel-good statements.
Right.
But what I love about her approach is that she keeps them super practical.
Oh.
She'll just say things like, I'm going to be on time, or I forgive myself.
Those are good.
Yeah, I love that.
It's not denying any challenge or pretending everything is perfect. It's just shifting your mindset.
Right.
And focusing on what you can control.
Exactly.
I like that a lot.
So I'm curious to hear your thoughts, on the power of affirmations.
Yeah.
Do you think they can truly, have an impact on our thoughts and behaviors?
Yeah, I think so. There's definitely a growing body of research out there
Right.
that shows that they can actually be a really powerful tool for self-improvement.
Yeah.
And, when we consistently repeat positive statements, it's almost like rewiring our brains to focus on more empowering beliefs.
Yeah, totally. It's like planting seeds of positivity.
Totally, yeah.
And speaking of growth, we got to talk about the marathons.
Yes.
I'm so
Yeah.
curious
Look,
about this.
so she makes this incredible connection between running marathons and navigating life's challenges. And what
Yeah.
she talks about is that, both experiences require these small, determined steps.
Okay.
You're making a commitment to the journey rather than just fixating on the finish line.
Yeah.
And she learned to embrace that whole process, just trusting that things would unfold in their own time.
That's so powerful. Yeah. And I think that's a good reminder. Think about your own goals, whatever they may be.
Right.
It's like a marathon. To achieve them, you've got to make those small, consistent efforts.
Yeah, totally.
And, you don't always have to see the entire path ahead to just take that next step.
You're right. That is such a good takeaway.
Yeah.
It's encouraging us to shift our focus from, the overwhelming enormity of the goal to the manageable steps that we can actually take right now.
Exactly.
I did like that.
And what I thought was really interesting was that she actually connected running a marathon to childbirth.
Really?
Yeah. She experienced similar physical sensations. And I think she kind of drew this parallel between the endurance and the strength required in both of them.
Wow, that's so fascinating.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's just this beautiful metaphor, I think, for, the transformative power of pushing through these challenges and embracing discomfort and ultimately trusting in your own resilience.
Yeah, for sure. And it makes me think, have you ever had like an experience that completely changed your perspective on facing challenges?
Oh, yeah, for sure. There's definitely been moments in my life where I've been forced to confront my limitations, and I had to, like, dig deep within myself to, find that strength to overcome them.
Right.
And I think those moments when we push beyond what we think we're capable of, that's when we discover our true potential.
Absolutely. I totally agree.
Yeah, and that kind of segues perfectly into another aspect of Alicia's journey, which is her experience with skin anxiety.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And, it's surprising to hear someone who, like, is seemingly so confident talk about, feeling self-conscious, especially when they're, like, constantly under the scrutiny of the public eye.
It's a good reminder that, even those who appear to have it all
Right.
still face very real and relatable challenges.
Yeah.
And, she's very open about her struggles with her skin,
Yeah.
especially under the immense pressure of, being in the music industry.
And that kind of brings her to this concept of soul care, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
So she realized that all this stress that she was experiencing was actually manifesting physically,
Oh, wow.
and it was, like, affecting her skin.
Yeah.
And that's when she really started to prioritize her inner well-being
Right.
because she understood that it was all connected.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, how you feel on the inside affects how you look on the outside.
Could you maybe elaborate a little bit more on what soul care actually entails?
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, including myself, are curious about what that looks like in practice.
Yeah, so soul care is essentially about nurturing your inner self through practices that bring you peace and joy and just a sense of balance, right?
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that true beauty and well-being, it comes from within.
Gotcha. So it's deeper than just skincare products.
Oh, totally.
Okay.
Yeah. Although we'll talk about later how she did eventually create a skincare line that was inspired by this.
Right.
But soul care is really about, like, cultivating this deeper connection with yourself
Yeah.
and incorporating practices that, like, nourish your mind, body, and spirit.
Interesting. So it's like this more holistic approach to well-being.
Exactly.
Okay.
And for Alicia, this journey included exploring, like, ancient rituals and practices that really resonated with her.
Oh, cool. Like what?
Well, she mentions things like crystals and journaling and meditation as being part of her, like, soul care routine.
Oh, we've got to dive into those later, especially crystals,
Yeah.
because I'm so fascinated by them.
I know, me too.
Okay, but for now, can we kind of circle back to this whole idea of stress
Yeah.
and, how it manifests in our lives? Because she makes a really thought-provoking point
Yeah.
about our kind of like societal addiction to being busy and being surrounded by drama.
Right. It's like we're constantly bombarded with information and deadlines and all these expectations.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
it's almost like it's a badge of honor to be busy.
Totally.
But as she points out, like, that constant hustle, it can actually prevent us from really facing these deeper issues and connecting with ourselves.
It's so true.
Right.
And it really challenges us to reevaluate our priorities
Yeah,
and, create space for stillness and reflection.
exactly. And that's where, like, Alicia's journey of learning to say no comes in,
Oh, interesting.
which is something that I think so many of us struggle with,
For sure.
especially when we're juggling, multiple roles and responsibilities.
Right, right.
So for her, it's about recognizing her limitations and honoring her need for rest and rejuvenation.
It's so important.
And it's not about being selfish.
Yeah.
It's about understanding that you can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
Right.
You can't give what you don't have.
Exactly. And she really talks about how she consciously chooses to prioritize self-care,
Yeah.
even amidst the demands of motherhood and, having this really thriving career.
It's inspiring.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder that we have the power to create those boundaries for ourselves
Yes.
and make choices that align with our values and well-being.
I love that perspective because it makes you realize that you have so much more control than you think.
Totally.
Now, you mentioned before that Alicia incorporated crystals into her soul care practice
Yes.
and that they even play a role in her Keys soul care product line.
I'm excited to get into that.
Yeah.
So she is like incredibly passionate about crystals
Uh-huh.
and their potential to kind of enhance well-being.
Yeah.
And she sees them as reminders of like desired qualities like courage or manifestation, clarity.
Right.
And she believes that different crystals hold different energies and intentions.
So it's about more than just the aesthetic appeal.
Absolutely. Yeah, for her, crystals are tools for self-discovery and personal growth.
Wow.
And she even describes them as like a source of grounding.
Yeah.
Almost like you're carrying a little piece of peace with you.
I'm so intrigued to learn more about how she incorporates them into her life,
Yes, me too.
and especially how she infuses them into her Keys soul care products, because it just sounds so unique.
So unique. Yeah.
But first, I kind of want to shift gears and talk about another important aspect of her life, which is motherhood,
Okay.
because she's really intentional about instilling values of mindfulness and gratitude in her children.
Awesome. Yeah.
And she does this by creating these beautiful rituals that they do together.
Oh, cool. Like what kind of rituals? I'm always looking for new ways to kind of bring more mindfulness into my own family life.
Right. Well, they do things like meditation, and they make gratitude lists together.
Oh, nice.
And they even do like prayers together.
Oh, wow. That's so sweet.
Yeah. And she really emphasizes the importance of like leading by example
Yeah.
and creating a peaceful and really supportive environment for her children to thrive in.
It's amazing how like kids pick up on our energy and habits, right?
It's a good reminder
Yeah.
that we have such a profound impact on their like worldviews and values.
Absolutely. I completely agree.
And she also mentions that she co-parents with her husband, Swizz Beats.
Right.
And it's kind of unique dynamic
Yeah. How so?
because they have different parenting styles.
Oh, okay.
But it actually creates an opportunity for learning and growth for both of them.
I imagine that can be challenging at times,
Yeah.
but also, really enriching to have those different perspectives.
Right.
It's a reminder that there's not one right way to parent.
Totally.
And, embracing those differences can actually create a more well-rounded experience for the kids.
Exactly.
It's about finding what works best for your family and respecting each other's approaches, even when they differ.
100%. Yeah.
Now, can we talk about something that I personally struggle with,
Okay.
which is finding that balance between striving for excellence,
Okay.
but also letting go?
Yeah.
Because it's a dilemma that I think a lot of us face, especially, in creative pursuits.
Absolutely.
So I know that she is open about her own perfectionist tendencies.
Mm-hmm.
She even refers to herself as like notoriously anal.
Oh, wow. Good.
But she's learned to manage those tendencies in a way that doesn't like stifle her creativity.
Wow, that's good to hear.
Yeah. So I'm curious to hear how she does that.
So how does she do it?
Yeah.
Well, she talks about learning to trust other talented individuals
Okay.
and allowing them to like enhance her vision rather than her trying to control every little detail,
Right.
which must have been huge for her because she's a self-proclaimed control freak.
Yeah, that must have been a process for her.
Totally, totally. But she realized that collaboration could actually lead to something greater
Right.
than she could achieve alone.
I love that.
And she actually uses a really powerful example from when she was creating her Broadway musical, Hell's Kitchen.
Which, by the way, was nominated for 13 Tony Awards.
I know, crazy.
So impressive.
But it actually took her 13 years from like conception to opening night.
Wow.
So it really speaks to her dedication.
For sure.
But during that time, she had to learn to balance her like meticulous planning
Uh-huh.
with the need to let go and allow things to kind of unfold organically.
That's like having a clear roadmap, but being open to like detours and unexpected discoveries along the way.
Yes, that's a perfect analogy.
Right.
And I think it applies to life in general, not just creative endeavors.
Totally.
You can set your intentions, you can make plans, but you got to be flexible and adaptable
Yeah.
and embrace the unexpected.
I love that.
And speaking of powerful reminders, we have to talk about this last piece that really resonated with me,
Okay.
which is the importance of deep listening.
Oh, yeah.
It seems so simple,
Yeah.
but it's becoming increasingly rare, I think.
Definitely.
And Alicia's really making a conscious effort to cultivate that skill.
Oh, cool.
It's not just about passively hearing words.
Right.
It's about truly being present with another person
Yeah.
and allowing them to feel seen and heard without judgment or interruption.
That's so important.
Is
It's
that-
really about creating a space for authentic connection and understanding, which is essential for building any meaningful relationship.
Yeah, I agree, 100%.
And I think that's a perfect note to end this part of our deep dive on,
Okay.
because it's a reminder that true connection really begins with deep listening
Yeah,
to ourselves and to others.
absolutely. And it's been so fascinating exploring these kind of early stages of her journey.
Yeah.
And I'm really eager to delve deeper into like her insights on soul care and personal growth.
Me too.
So we'll be back soon with more fascinating revelations and, practical takeaways from this incredible interview.
Yeah, I can't wait. So as we continue our deep dive into, the world of Alicia Keys, I'm really struck by how her journey just highlights this interconnectedness between our inner and outer worlds.
Yeah.
It's not just about, taking care of our physical selves.
Right.
It's about nurturing our mental and emotional and even spiritual well-being as well.
I totally agree. It's like that saying, true beauty radiates from within.
Yes.
And I think Alicia really embodies that.
She does. She really does.
Yeah.
And speaking of connections, she brings up this really important point about how we sometimes project our own anxieties and limitations onto other people,
Oh, yeah.
often without even realizing it.
Oh, I've totally been guilty of that. Like when someone shares a dream or a goal,
Yeah.
and you immediately start listing all the reasons why it might not work out.
It's almost instinctive, isn't it?
Right.
We do it without even thinking.
It is.
But as Alicia points out, we're often projecting our own fears and doubts onto them.
Right.
Which can be, so discouraging for them.
Totally. And she specifically mentions parents doing this to their kids,
Oh, yeah.
which can have a lasting impact on a child's self-belief and their willingness to go after their passions.
Absolutely.
Right.
It's so crucial to be mindful of how our words and actions can affect the people around us, especially children, because they're still developing their sense of self.
Yeah, for sure. And it makes me think about how Alicia is raising her kids, because you mentioned that, they do have a pretty good understanding of her fame and who she is.
Yeah.
But she really tries to create a sense of normalcy for them.
Right.
So how do you think that impacts their development?
I think it's really about finding that balance.
Yeah.
Between exposing them to the extraordinary,
Mhm.
but also grounding them in the ordinary.
Right.
She really values those everyday moments, like
Yeah.
taking them to school
Uh,
or playing in the park, just like any other parent. And it helps them develop a sense of perspective,
yeah.
and an appreciation for those simple things in life.
For sure. And it sounds like they're developing a strong sense of empathy too.
Yeah.
Because you mentioned that they'll encourage her to take pictures with fans, but they also recognize when it's not the right time.
That's so sweet.
Right.
It's heartwarming to see them navigating those situations with kindness and awareness.
I like it.
It really speaks volumes about the values that, Alicia and Swizz are instilling in them.
I agree. Yeah.
Okay, can we go back to crystals for a second?
Yes.
Because I'm so fascinated by this whole idea of her infusing them into her skincare products.
I know, me too.
So can you tell me a little bit more about the specific crystals she uses
Yeah.
and their purported benefits?
Yeah, so she's really intentional about the crystals she chooses,
Okay.
both for her personal use and for her Keys soul care line.
Okay.
For example, rose quartz is associated with love and compassion.
Oh, I love rose quartz. It's so pretty.
And then amethyst is believed to kind of promote tranquility and intuition.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so it's you're adding this whole other layer of intention to your skincare routine.
Right. It's not just about cleansing and moisturizing.
Yeah.
It's about, aligning with these positive energies as well.
Totally.
I love that.
And she also mentioned scent being a really powerful tool too.
Yes.
She was talking about how you can instinctively know which essential oil you need just by smelling it.
That is so fascinating to me.
Isn't it? What are your thoughts on that?
I think it's amazing how, our bodies can guide us if we pay attention. And that's really, at the heart of her soul care philosophy.
Right.
It's about tuning into those inner cues and honoring what feels right for us.
Exactly. It's about more than just following some set routine.
Right.
It's about creating rituals that actually resonate with our individual needs.
Love that.
And speaking of honoring ourselves, she brings up this really interesting point about how we often dim our own light to avoid making other people uncomfortable.
Oh.
Have you ever noticed that?
All the time.
Think about how many times you've downplayed your successes or your happiness because someone else was struggling.
It's we're afraid to shine too brightly
Oh.
in case we outshine someone else.
It's true. It's we've been conditioned to believe that our happiness has to come at the expense of someone else's.
Right, exactly.
But Alicia challenges that notion with this really powerful statement.
Oh, what is it?
She says, I give myself permission to glow.
I love that so much.
Isn't that great?
It's such a good reminder that our light doesn't diminish anyone else's.
Exactly.
In fact, it can actually inspire them to shine brighter, too.
Totally. Yeah.
So I want to ask you, we've talked a lot about like how she handles stress and
Oh.
cultivates peace and all of that.
Right.
But I'm curious, like, what about those moments when things get really tough?
Yeah.
Like, what are some of her go-to rituals or practices?
Well, she emphasizes the importance of having a solid foundation of self-care practices in place,
Okay.
like,
Yeah.
meditating regularly or journaling,
Right.
so that she doesn't have to start from scratch when things do get challenging.
Gotcha.
But she also mentioned some specific things that she turns to when she needs, like,
Yeah.
an extra boost.
Okay, like what
So meditation is, like, always at the top of her list.
makes sense.
It's her way of recentering and, like, finding that inner stillness.
I love that.
Yeah, and she stresses that even just a few minutes can make a huge difference.
It's true.
And she also finds a lot of solace in journaling
Yeah.
because it allows her to, like, freely express her thoughts and emotions.
Yeah.
It's like creating this safe space to just, like, release what's weighing on her.
Right. Without judgment or censorship.
Yeah.
I love that.
And then, of course, like, a good workout is always a mood booster.
Yes.
She talked about how moving her body helps her feel more grounded and empowered.
Right. It's like channeling that pent-up energy into something positive and productive.
Totally. And it's so fascinating how something as simple as, like, physical activity
I know.
can have such a profound impact on, like, our mental and emotional state.
Right. It's crazy.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And then, of course, she incorporates her key soul care products into her routine,
Yeah.
and she uses them as reminders of her intentions and affirmations.
I love that.
It's so cool, right?
Yeah.
It's like she uses her skincare routine as, like, a form of self-care ritual.
Exactly.
It's not just about vanity.
You're right.
It's about infusing those everyday moments with meaning and intention.
I love that a lot.
When she really needs to unwind, she'll take, like, a warm bath,
Oh, nice.
and she'll add essential oils or crystals.
That sounds amazing.
Right.
Like so luxurious.
It's a good reminder to, like, create those moments of sanctuary
Yeah.
for ourselves,
Definitely.
even when things are chaotic.
But we all deserve those little moments of like peace and rejuvenation.
100%, yeah.
Now, I want to talk a little bit about her relationship with Swizz Beatz
Good.
because they seem to have such a beautiful and supportive dynamic.
You do.
They've been married for 14 years.
Yeah.
And she attributes like a lot of their success to their ability to balance each other out.
Yeah, can you tell me a little bit more about their dynamic?
Yeah, so she mentions that he's taught her to be more in the flow, to embrace spontaneity
Oh, okay.
and really trust the process.
I like that.
Yeah, and in turn, she's helped him to be more intentional
Uh-huh.
and more strategic in his approach to things.
They complement each other.
They do. It's like they each bring something unique to the table,
Yeah.
which creates this like beautiful synergy.
Finally.
They complement each other
Yeah.
and challenge each other
Yeah.
in a way that really fosters like growth and harmony.
It's a good balance.
It is.
And they also have a very clear agreement about respecting each other's individuality,
Yeah, it's so important.
allowing each other to, like, be their authentic selves.
Yeah, it's like that saying, love with an open hand.
Right.
Giving each other the space to grow and evolve
Yeah.
without trying to like control or restrict.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
Isn't it?
It's about creating a relationship that's built on, like, mutual respect
Yeah.
and trust
Yeah.
and freedom to be oneself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she actually wrote a song about that concept after a trip to Egypt.
Really?
Yeah, she was inspired by her godmother's experience in an abusive relationship.
Oh, wow.
And it was a really powerful realization for her about, like, the importance of healthy boundaries
Yeah.
and the right to, like, personal freedom
Absolutely.
within a relationship.
It's so powerful, and it kind of speaks to the like ripple effect that our experiences can have, right?
Yeah.
They can inspire us to create positive change, not just in our own lives, but in the world around us as well.
Totally.
And, it seems like they've brought that same philosophy to their parenting, which is really admirable.
Yeah, they have this beautiful blended family.
They do.
And they seem really intentional about creating a nurturing and supportive environment for all of their children.
I love that they prioritize open communication and mutual respect,
Yeah.
which are so essential for any healthy family dynamic.
I agree, yeah.
Okay, I kind of want to shift gears again and talk about something that's been like a major creative endeavor for Alicia,
Okay.
which is her Broadway musical Hell's Kitchen.
Yeah, it's amazing that it was like a 13-year journey
I know, it's
from
crazy.
like conception to opening night.
It's a testament to her passion and dedication
Totally.
and
The
perseverance.
perseverance, yeah.
She really poured her heart and soul into this project,
Yeah.
drawing inspiration from like her own life experiences
Right.
and the vibrant community that she grew up in.
And she even talks about how the process of creating the musical was incredibly transformative for her.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, it allowed her to take all of her experiences, the good and the bad,
Yeah,
and channel them into something beautiful and meaningful.
right.
It was a way for her to process her past,
Uh-huh.
to find healing,
Yeah.
and connect with others on a deeper level.
It's like turning those life lessons into art,
It is.
and creating something that can really move and inspire other people.
100%, yeah.
And I love that she also learned a lot about the power of collaboration during this process.
Yeah.
Recognizing that she didn't have to do everything alone.
She talks about assembling a team of like incredibly talented individuals,
Yes.
and each of them brought their unique expertise to the project.
I bet that was a humbling experience for her.
Yeah, what was that experience like for her?
Well, she had to learn to trust other people and relinquish some of that control.
Oh, yeah.
And let go of some of her perfectionism
Right.
and allow her vision to be kind of shaped and molded by the collective talents of the team.
It's about surrendering to the process
Yeah.
and recognizing that sometimes the most beautiful creations come when we allow for that synergy and collaboration.
Exactly. And it clearly paid off.
It did.
13 Tony nominations.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Crazy.
It just speaks to the power of believing in your vision
Yeah.
and surrounding yourself with the right people to bring it to life. It's a good reminder that, we don't have to do everything alone.
Yeah.
In fact, we can achieve so much more
Yeah.
when we embrace the power of collaboration and leverage the diverse talents of the people around us.
100%.
Okay, one last thing I want to touch on
Okay.
is this idea of protecting your energy.
Okay.
Because Alicia talks about being really intentional about the energy that she brings into spaces,
Right.
but also about setting boundaries with people who drain her.
Yeah. Why is that so important?
I think it's crucial for everyone,
Yeah.
but especially for someone, in the public eye. Like
Yeah.
she is,
Yeah.
our energy is a precious resource.
Yes.
And we really need to be mindful of like how we expend it
Right.
and who we allow to influence our emotional and mental state.
Totally. And she's not afraid to like remove herself from situations that aren't serving her.
Yeah.
Even if it means like saying no to opportunities or stepping away from relationships that are no longer aligned with her values.
That takes a lot of courage and self-awareness.
It does.
It's about honoring our own needs
Yeah.
and not feeling obligated to stay in environments or relationships that deplete us,
So it's not about being rude.
right?
It's about prioritizing your own well-being.
Exactly. And it's recognizing that, we can't pour from an empty cup.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah. And she emphasizes that it's okay to have those moments where you need to like recharge
Yeah.
and replenish your energy. It's not selfish.
It's not. It's necessary.
It's necessary
Yeah.
for our own sustainability and well-being.
For sure.
It's like taking a step back to fill your own cup
Totally.
so that you can come back and give more.
Love it.
So as we're wrapping up this part of the deep dive, I'm really struck by how many practical takeaways there are from like Alicia's insights.
You too.
It's not just about these like esoteric concepts.
Yeah.
It's about applying these principles to our everyday lives.
Right.
To cultivate more peace and joy and just like overall fulfillment. And it's really all about creating a life that feels authentic and aligned with our values.
Yeah.
And honoring our unique needs and embracing our own definition of success and happiness.
I love that. It's about finding our own rhythm,
Yes.
embracing our imperfections, and celebrating the journey even with all of its twists and turns.
I love that. And I think that's a beautiful message to carry with us as we move into like the final part of this deep dive,
Yes, I'm excited.
which is exploring like her evolving perspectives on self-discovery and deep listening and the importance of embracing our authentic selves. So we're entering like the final chapter of our deep dive into Alicia Keys' world.
Ooh, I'm excited
Yeah.
to wrap it all up.
I know, and it's really fascinating to see how like her journey really embodies this constant evolution of like self-discovery.
Right.
She
does.
she doesn't present herself as like someone who has all the answers,
Right.
but like as someone who's continuously learning and growing.
And that really resonates with kind of like the essence of soul care,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
It's an ongoing process, a
Yes, sir.
commitment to nurturing ourselves and expanding our understanding of who we are.
Absolutely. And one of the practices she's been focusing on lately is something that we touched on earlier, like the art of deep listening.
Yes.
She's really going beyond just hearing words
Yeah.
and striving to be truly present with another person and allowing them to feel seen and heard without judgment.
It's such a powerful practice.
Yeah.
And, as she points out, it's becoming increasingly rare
Right.
in our kind of like fast-paced world that's filled with so many distractions.
For sure.
We're so quick to jump in with our own opinions
Yeah.
or solutions
Totally.
that we like miss the opportunity to really connect with another person's experience.
Have you found that challenging in your own life?
Oh, for sure.
Like I know I sometimes struggle with really being present
Yeah.
and listening without trying to fix things.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a practice.
Yeah.
And it takes like a conscious effort to shift our focus from ourselves
Right.
to the other person.
Right.
But, as Alicia's discovered, that deep level of listening, it really creates this space for like more authentic connection and understanding.
Yeah.
It allows people to like feel safe enough to really share from their hearts,
Totally.
knowing that they won't be judged or interrupted.
It's like creating this sanctuary of trust and empathy
Yes.
where genuine communication can just like flourish.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's also a good reminder that sometimes the most supportive thing we can do is just listen
Right.
without trying to control the conversation or like
Yeah.
impose our own perspectives.
I agree. And we've talked a lot about like self-care practices and nurturing our inner world.
Right.
But Alicia also emphasizes the importance of like protecting our energy,
Oh, yeah.
especially in a world that can feel very overwhelming and demanding.
Absolutely. And, she's learned to be very discerning about who she spends her time with
Right.
and what environments she exposes herself to because she recognizes, our energy is a finite resource.
For sure. For sure. And she's not afraid to set those boundaries,
Yeah.
even if it means saying no to opportunities.
Yeah.
Or stepping away from relationships that no longer serve her highest good.
It takes so much courage and like a deep sense of self-worth to be able to do that.
It does.
It's about honoring our needs
Right.
and recognizing that we don't have to compromise our well-being to please others.
Right.
Or conform to those like societal expectations.
Yeah, and it's a reminder that self-care isn't selfish.
Totally.
It's an act of self-preservation.
Absolutely.
And, we've learned from Alicia's journey that, like, prioritizing our well-being allows us to show up more fully
Yes.
for ourselves and for those who truly matter.
So we're concluding our deep dive into kind of like all of this wisdom from Alicia Keys.
Right.
What stands out to you the most?
I think what strikes me is how her journey really reflects a universal truth,
Oh, what's that?
that self-discovery is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
It's a continuous unfolding of who we are.
I like that.
And it's not about reaching, like, some final destination.
Yeah.
It's about embracing the journey with all of its, twists and turns.
The good and the bad.
The good and the bad, exactly.
And it's also a good reminder that we all have the power to create a life that feels aligned with our values.
Yes.
And that really nourishes our souls.
Yeah, from overcoming anxiety to cultivating inner peace to, like, finding strength in vulnerability. She shared so many valuable insights
She has.
that we can all apply to our lives, no matter what our background is or our circumstances.
Her story is a testament to the transformative power of like self-awareness
Yeah.
and resilience
Yeah.
and the courage to just embrace our authentic selves.
So, as you reflect on this deep dive, we invite you to consider
Yes.
what small step can you take today
Yeah.
to prioritize your own soul care and give yourself permission to glow.
Maybe it's, incorporating a new ritual into your day,
Yeah.
setting a healthy boundary, or just taking a few moments to connect with your breath and appreciate the beauty of the present moment.
Absolutely.
Remember, the journey to inner peace and self-discovery begins with a single step.
100%. And thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
Yes, thank you so much.
Until next time, may you find peace and joy and the courage to shine your brightest light.
We'll see you soon.